So let's see what is the difference between geyser and hot spring. Both are a direct resultant of volcanic activity, which are similar to volcanoes, but the thing is they only throw out hot water instead of hot magma. When groundwater seeps into a porous rock, which is just above the mantle, then the heat received by this rock heats up the water in the porous rock, and under extreme heat there is huge amount of pressure created, and the water is lifted upwards and giving rise to a spring. And the color of the spring is mainly based on the presence of bacteria in it, especially cyanobacteria or algae. And in other case, that is geyser, we see that there are capsules in the earth's crust which can absorb certain amount of pressure generated due to this heat in the porous rock. But when the heat limit exceeds a threshold level, then huge bursts of water flows out in the form of explosions. This is called as geysers. Hence the difference between hot spring and geyser is the way they are observed on the Earth's surface, but initially they are formed due to same kind of reasons, that is heat below the Earth's interior, heat in the Earth's interior. And hot springs are observed all across the globe. They are found everywhere, whereas geysers are specific to certain locations like Iceland, etc. In other parts of the world they are very rare. And coming to distribution of volcanoes are mainly distributed along this zone, which is called as Pacific Ring of Fire, which is the region where a continental Pacific oceanic plate subducts below South American plate and the North American plate, and in eastern countries like Japan, etc., here it subducts below Eurasian plate, and in this region it subducts below Indo-Australian oceanic plate, that is Indo-Australian plate. Hence, as there is a lot of tectonic activity in this region, there are hotspots for volcanic activity. And all across the mid-oceanic ridges, we can see these are mid-oceanic ridges. Along with Pacific Rim of Fire and the mid-oceanic ridges, there are other regions where volcanic activity is extensive. For example, the region surrounding the Mediterranean Sea and the region along the East African Rift Valley are such examples. Let's see what is Mediterranean volcanism. Mediterranean volcanism is volcanism which is caused mainly due to interaction between minor plates which are present between African plate and the Eurasian plate. This is Eurasian plate and this is African plate. Due to collision between these two plates, the oceanic plates of the Mediterranean Sea got broken into various minor plates, and there is constant interaction between these two plates. Hence, there is always perpetual volcanic activity in this region. The Mediterranean Sea is the residual sea, which is a residual part of Tethys, which got enclosed between the African and the European landmass, and this residual Tethys is called Mediterranean Sea. There is one more important concept called hotspot. Hotspot is a region which is deep within the Earth's mantle, and this region is very hot and it is fixed in the mantle, and there is no change in position of this hotspot, and this hotspot is called as mantle plumes. And these mantle plumes do not occur at plate boundaries of Earth's tectonic plates. They occur only in the center, in the middle of a plate, that is a oceanic plate or a continental plate. They don't occur at plate margins. So if we see, this is volcanic activity associated with hotspots. The location of the hotspot is fixed in the mantle region. It is very high, a region with very high temperatures, and it has a vent due to metamorphosis of the crustal plate, which gives rise to volcanic activity above. For example, due to the presence of this hot region and the significant outflow of magma, this volcanic island has been formed, and as the crustal plate is moving relative to the fixed hotspot, over a period of time the position of this volcanic mountain could shift in a certain direction, and it would shift to a certain point, and a new location would arrive at this point. So this volcanic activity would continue, and there will be much more eruptions happening, hence a new volcanic mountain would be formed, and this one would shift here and this one here, and a new landform would again arrive, and this chain would continue, giving rise to a chain of islands. And the one that was created first will undergo denudational processes under the influence of weathering and erosion, hence it reduces in size, and the successive ones are bigger because of less erosion and weathering, whereas the newly formed one is much bigger in size. For example, Hawaiian archipelago is the example of this kind of volcanic activity, and we can see the Hawaiian island is the biggest because it is the most recently formed island, and the same kind of volcanic activity is observed in the Yellowstone National Park, where even such volcanic chain of volcanic mountains were created due to hotspot activity. And the Reunion Islands in Indian Ocean are also example for this kind of volcanic activity.